Okay, good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, May the 20th. It is 9:06 a.m. and I am calling this special meeting of the NTMC Board of Directors to order. The first item on the agenda is public comment. This agenda item provides an opportunity for citizens to address the Board of Directors on any agenda item or other matter relating to NTMC. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes to address any item. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. Speakers making personal, impertinent, profane, or slanderous remarks may be removed from the meeting. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, clapping, and other demonstrations will not be permitted. Citizens that are not able to connect to the Zoom meeting must email their comments to kmorris-perkins@dcta.net no later than 7 a.m. on Monday, May 20th to ensure the comments will be distributed to board members prior to the meeting. The Board of Directors are not permitted to take action on any subject raised by a speaker during citizen comments. However, the board may have an item placed on a future agenda for action, refer the item to the NTMC officers for further study or action, briefly state existing NTMC policy, or provide a brief statement of factual information in response to the inquiry. Ms. Morris-Perkins, have we received any public comment?
Not, and I did not listen.
Okay, thank you very much. With no public comment, we'll go to the first item in the special meeting agenda, that is discuss and consider notice of termination issued by Denton County Transportation Authority regarding the interlocal cooperation agreement for mobility service operations between NTMC and DCTA. I'll be giving this presentation. There's a motion that would follow this board item related to the notice of termination that was issued by DCTA, asking this board to acknowledge that action, waive what is a 180-day requirement of termination in the agreement in favor of a 60-day notice, and then provide the board chair authority to align the start of that 60-day termination period with the 60-day notice to the ATU as required by 13C Unified Protective Arrangement. That's also contemplated in agenda item 2. You have this board deck at your place if you'd like to look at it more closely, but this is a snapshot of the current manpower and staffing status at NTMC with regard to bus operators, the general manager / director of bus operations, operations managers, and operations supervisors. As you know, the NTMC organization is primarily in existence in order to have a general manager or a leader of the bus operation to manage bus operations staff. What you see in this graphic is that we still have the absence in the director of bus operations slot, that we have been in active recruiting and have some candidates that are in the hopper to potentially be decided upon, and then vacancies in the operations manager and operations supervisors level. But the most important thing here is that we're down about 10 operators against the 62 that are authorized, and this really puts the bus operation at risk. We were able to make service and continue our on-time performance through the end of the spring semester at UNT and with the Connect service by having an all hands on deck sort of approach. But as we anticipate coming into the school year in the fall, and what the DCTA board of directors has the opportunity to do this week, which is increase frequency on 2 of the Connect routes in order to take GO zone capacity and put it elsewhere in the system. The need for bus operators is urgent. The need to pay bus operators and reward them appropriately is urgent, so that we can recruit new bus drivers, et cetera. And that was really the impetus behind the board's action last week. So following the board's action on May the 16th, this notice was received by the members of this board, issued in accordance with that action and section 13.01 of the interlocal agreement. In the interlocal agreement, in which DCTA has hired, in effect, NTMC to provide the bus operation, there is a 180-day notice of termination period. That is, once the notice period once the notice is given, the agreement contemplates 180 days. DCTA is asking this board to consider a 60-day notice period in lieu of the 180-day notice period, because that aligns more closely with our requirements to notify the union of changes in job status. So the motion that you have in front of you today would allow the CEO of DCTA to align the 60-day period of termination with the 60-day notice to the union. The most important thing we've had to communicate through this whole process is that there's no job loss as a result of this action. Every employee at NTMC will be offered employment in the same role and function as a DCTA employee. So following this board's action, should you all approve, this is how the next steps would go, enabling NTMC and DCTA to comply with its requirements for the 13C obligations that we are subject to relative to federal funding through the Federal Transit Administration. We anticipate issuing job offers for DCTA employment today or in the next couple of days, and then providing a deadline for people to accept those job offers by June the 14th. That would allow then by June 28th, all the support, what we call support personnel. So this is mechanics, customer service folks and the like, to start work at DCTA. And then on or about July 22nd, which would be the end of the 60-day period that would be initiated, then the bus operators and related positions, that is supervisors, managers, bus operations director, et cetera, would start work at DCTA. Again, no job loss as a result of this action. Rather, every employee gets the opportunity to work for DCTA in a unified organizational structure with all the pay and with the benefit structure that comes along to DCTA employees today.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
With all the people that apparently are coming in, do they work away from here, work here? Where do they physically work?
Their current duty location will remain the same.
Same. Okay.
So many of these people operate out of the bus operations and maintenance building on Teasley
Right.
Lane in Denton. Customer service staff and others work out of the downtown Denton Transit
So
Center.
nothing changes as far as that goes.
Correct.
Great.
So if there are no questions regarding that briefing, I would entertain a motion in this regard.
I have one question. Are they coming to DCTA at the same job? I mean, the same pay that they're making right now?
There are wage adjustments associated with the bus operators to bring them in alignment with the board, what the DCTA board approved in executive session in the last meeting. And then other employees would also have wage adjustments as based on market conditions and so on and so forth.
I can assume that would be higher.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. One of the big benefits that these employees will receive as DCTA employees is participation in the Texas County District Retirement System. And so that has a mandatory payroll deduction to participate in that. And so we're trying to make that neutral to the employees' pocketbooks by offsetting that contribution amount.
And I had a question about tenure. Do they lose their tenure at all with this move, or is that just transferred over?
So the employees that really affects are the union operators, and we're in conversations with the DCTA staff is in conversations with the ATU on that topic. For purposes of the Texas County District Retirement System, they would be DCTA employees with 1 day of service on their first day of employment. But that's really two different topics that we're talking about.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? I would entertain a motion as shown on the screen, if no others.
I don't care. Well, I'll make the motion then.
Okay. Have a motion by Mr. Bushy for the motion that's up on the screen for agenda item 1, as presented.
Yeah.
Maybe second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Ogden. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we'll go to special meeting agenda item 2. This is related to the overall process of what happens in this transition with NTMC no longer the provider of these services for DCTA. Then NTMC, in order to comply with its obligations under the 13C Unified Protective Arrangement, has to make an official notice to the ATU, Amalgamated Transit Union, about the dismissal of working forces. So this motion is to authorize the NTMC board chair and general counsel to issue the 60-day notice to the Amalgamated Transit Union regarding notice of intended action that results in dismissals of working forces at North Texas Mobility Corporation in accordance with 13C Unified Protective Arrangement obligations, the timing of which shall be left to his discretion, that is the NTMC board chair. Again, from the first item on the briefing, there is no job loss associated with this action, as all of these employees are ending employment with NTMC and beginning employment with DCTA without loss of employment.
Can I just ask a dumb question? I know this is a dumb question in a way. Why would people not want the change? Is there any reason why anybody wouldn't want this change to occur that you know of?
I wouldn't opine as to how individuals make decisions about their
Well, I
employment.
just meant as the whole group. I
Yeah.
didn't mean individuals. That's up to them, obviously, but
I don't think that I'm in a position to opine about that. Obviously, we're doing this based on the conditions that we have right now with trying to move the bus operation forward.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
I'll make a motion.
A
As-
motion,
As presented.
motion by Ms. Ogden to approve the motion as presented. Do I have a second?
You want to do it? Okay, I'll second it.
All right, second by Mr. Bushy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Special agenda item number 3, again, related to this overall transition, discuss and consider a resolution of the North Texas Mobility Corporation recommending termination of the corporation, approving a termination plan and authorizing the preparation and execution by the board chair of all documents necessary to terminate the corporation. The motion or the resolution that is at your place is the one that would be initiated. This is drafted in accordance with the interlocal agreement that governs the working relationship between DCTA and NTMC. Obviously, with the termination of DCTA's agreement, the corporation would have fulfilled its purpose and therefore would be dissolved in accordance with the bylaws and certificate of corporation accordingly. And so this action, this motion says to adopt a resolution recommending termination of the corporation, approving a termination plan and authorizing the preparation and execution by the board chair of all documents necessary to terminate the corporation, subject or subsequent to the initiation of the termination period for the interlocal agreement for mobility services and the 60-day notice of intended action to the Amalgamated Transit Union.
Keep in mind, the transition plan is very easy because NTMC has 0 assets. Everything's DCTA assets. For anyone who's left, the end will be transferred back to DCTA.
Now, let me ask another really dumb question, okay? For us that represent different cities, is this really, how can I say this correctly? Meaningful for, I know it's meaningful for the organization and it's meaningful for everybody else, but it really has no effect on us.
Correct, and
Right.
especially for you being in Highland Village, there's no bus operation.
Well,
It's very limited.
Part of the reason I was
Correct,
asking the
that's
question.
right. Yep, remember, NTMC was set up, the purpose of NTMC was set up for mainly the bus services, to run the bus operations. Now that we're doing away with that, and DCTA is taking that back, there's no need necessary, at least one more step from the board. Once you decide, hey, we're done here, then the board will also say, we no longer need NTMC services, and then we move forward with filing all the dissolution paperwork.
So other questions, I would entertain a motion as presented.
I'm saying yes.
Motion, okay,
Motion as presented, yes.
motion by Vice Chair Bushy. You have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Ogden. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you all very much for the time today. Our meeting stands adjourned.